Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of the Referrals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, as always, Michael J. Maher, and our guest,
Maher.
Sharon. Sharon, hello. Hello, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Michael, how are you?
What? How am I?
You haven't answered the question.
Do you actually care? I don't get the sense that you actually care.
What?
I'm doing.
No, that is not true.
You just buzzed right by me, went
that
straight
is never
to Sharon.
true.
I see why.
Well,
she's far more interesting than me. I get it.
I wasn't going to say that.
Whatever.
But that you
I
realize
thought we were
that,
friends.
that's important.
I thought we were friends, even though we hardly know each other. I thought we were friends. This is crazy. I felt a little left out right there. A little like,
I was trying something new.
There was no sensitivity.
Sharon's energy just pulled me right to her. Sharon interacts with me on social media, so I
don't know if I'm ever going to get over this.
I favor Sharon.
And you should.
Right.
Well, so I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm ready for this. I have to tell you, a lot of times when we do the episode, I already know the answer. You know what I mean? Like somebody's already sent me over, yeah, I got 23 referrals, or I got 60 referrals, or I got 2 referrals, or I got 5 referrals, or, you know, I did this and this is what happened, or I don't know how this ends, right? I love that. And what I do know is that Sharon has a phenomenal story around how she started the Easter egg hunts, her perseverance on going through the Easter egg, you know, what she kind of had to do to start the first one, and then, you know, where she's at now with her Easter egg hunt. So I'm very, very, very excited about this. I'm egg-cited.
Me too.
Wow.
I'm excited for this excellent
that is
presentation.
That's like we call that a dad joke, I think. That's a dad joke.
That is a dad joke. No excuses here.
And you're on fire.
You're
on fire. Well, and on top of that, Sharon, you just moved to South Carolina from Orlando, Florida, right? Where
market.
And in December, it's at the time of this recording, it's end of April, and you just did an Easter egg hunt 2 weekends ago. Correct. So we get to kind of unpack that too, and just hear how it was in a new community with new people. I'm excited. So let's do a little backstory first. So you've been in real estate for how long?
Since 2001. I started in Central Florida by Orlando area.
I love it. Wow. And then you found Michael in 2015, you said. Is that right?
Correct. Well, actually 2014, but like I was saying, Michael, like everybody, I read the book and said, yeah, this is me. And then implementation was back burner. And until I worked directly with Michael in 2015, then I started doing everything. And
so
that's
you bought me. Remember you
exactly. Yeah.
So how did I become your slave for a day? What was that? What was that like, assistant for a day or mentor for?
I had you and Sherry. And Sherry.
Wow.
Both of you.
Double
what
weight.
was it?
Yeah, both of you were there.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, you had Sherry and me in a conference room alone for several hours.
Great. It was great.
How did you do that? I don't remember. I donated. Did I donate myself?
I actually donated first to your charity, and everybody was buying dollar tickets and thinking they would buy $5. And I said, here's $40 and I'll take 40 tickets, but I want to win. And they started laughing. And my daughter said, you always win. I haven't won the lottery yet, but but she said, you always win. So when they pulled my name, I was very happy, because then I did get that one-on-one, and you helped me so much, because I had business in the neighborhood that I actually lived in, a big neighborhood, but I couldn't be the one, you know, I'll say the chosen agent. I couldn't be the chosen agent. I was like hit or miss. So Michael helped me first with power notes, suggested power notes, and we actually did that together on the spot. Wow. To show how I was going to do it. Michael gave me an assignment of do them the next month. Do these 300 in the next month, 286.
Was it 300? Yeah, I was going to say, how many there's 286 in your neighborhood. Sharon wrote 286 handwritten notes. She did most of those in a couple of hours when we were there. And they weren't, what did you put in the note, right? They weren't They weren't aggressive or assertive or salesy. What did you put in there?
Basically talking about how long I had lived in the neighborhood, that I am a professional real estate agent. So I know a lot about the area, the restaurants, the schools, anything I can do as regarding those types of things. Let me know how I can help you. And that did work. I did started getting text. I asked them with the PS to text, email, contact me by phone, either way they wanted to contact me. And they actually all started contacting me, and I ended up with, like, the first 6 months, about 4 listings directly from meeting people that way. Rather than them not knowing me, they felt like a little better about knowing me, that I was there, that I cared. And that was one of the things, is that I cared. And there was no business card. There was just my phone number, my email.
You're a neighbor. You were a helpful, friendly neighbor, like the most awesome welcome wagon committee ever. You did it on your own. Their neighborhood didn't really have a welcome wagon committee. So, and I think we need to tell that story, just from the sense of that builds into, because what we did that day is, all right, what can we do now? And then what can we do like forever, right? What can we do? And we talked about events, and she really gravitate. I mean, we literally went through the resources, like what's around here, what makes the most sense, what's going on, what's something you could partner with and make bigger. And Sharon had all those answers. I mean, she knows that area. She knew that area very, very well. So she knew there was a church who had an open area, and had they just canceled their Easter egg hunt, or what was the?
No, I think it's important to say that people will say, okay, well, I want to market a neighborhood, and I actually want to be the person that does the Easter egg hunt, but they don't have a community area. And so Michael said, do you have any ideas, like somewhere near there you can do? And I said, well, there's a church in the neighborhood. So we did have some things to deal with, some issues to deal with, meaning. So
what were they? Right. So tell everybody, I mean, because what you went through, I have to tell you, the difference between a top producer and an average producer is the top producer keeps going, right? They run into an obstacle, they figure out a way around it, through it, or over it, right? And that's the difference. And so you ran into some obstacles trying to do your first ever Easter egg hunt. And I think many people, Sharon, they would have stopped. I think they would have quit. So
I'm so glad I didn't. So you meet with the church, and that isn't easy, just that one thing, to get to the right person, and that person that can get to the decision maker. But after they did, and I'll just cut to the chase on that. After they did, they said, now we have to ask our attorneys and our insurance. And is this allowed for you to bring all these people that are not members of the church? So, and there's an advantage to them as well, new members to the church. So we spoke about that.
Hold a second. You just, like, right there is a bunch of gems, right? First of all, you had to call someone, and you had to figure out who, and it's not always the priest or the pastor or the father who makes these decisions. In many cases, it's not, right? It's somebody else, a CEO or president or volunteer in some cases, or a committee in some cases. So how did you, first of all, find the right person? And then I do want to go to, how did you make this a partnering thing versus we're the neighborhood and we just want to borrow your lot, right? So those two things I think we really need to cover.
Yeah.
Okay. First, contacting the wrong people, and then being led through to the right people. So
what did you ask? How did you do that? You got to realize, like, there's whole books about veto, right? Get to veto, very important to the person in charge or whatever. So there's like all these books. How do you get past the gatekeeper? How do you get to the decision maker? What were some?
First, I was lucky enough to be trained in corporate America before I was a real estate agent, and I actually know a lot about that, getting past to the CEOs, to the owners, that kind of thing. But this was not as difficult. It was time consuming. It was follow up because you would call, no return call. Then can I have an email? And no return email. And that was a series of those to finally get to, I'm not the right person. And then it was basically describing what would do. This is a community event, that it's not about me. This is not a selling thing, that this is for the community. And that includes some of your church members live in the neighborhood. So would you like more of the people that live in the neighborhood to be a member of the church?
Have they done the Easter egg hunt before?
They had done something like a drop, like they had a helicopter come and just do a drop. This was way more organized.
That sounds awesomely dangerous. We're going to do an egg drop.
This was way more aesthetically appealing, exciting for their members as well as the neighborhood.
Did you say exciting?
Exciting. It was really good. But anyway, past what they did say was, okay, now we got to figure out the date. And that's one of the things I want to really get to people quickly is that until you have a location and a date, you can't go anywhere. So you might want to start in like January to try to do April, maybe February.
So Sharon, I want to talk about that a second, is that we are going to air this like every January, right? We've already talked about it. Chris has talked about, hey, you just did this, and what a great time to talk about it when it's fresh in your head. But if somebody's watching this in May or June, it's good because we're covering generalities, but it's like even better in January, they listen to this and like, okay, I can do this, I can implement this, and here's how to do it. So just know that this is going to be something that's aired.
If they would start early, then the pieces of the puzzle come together a little better without a panic. Mm-hmm. But if you start late, I mean, I have some people that I'm working with, agents that started at the last minute, and they a little bit freaked out about doing it. I'm glad they at least did it, and that's what I told them. I'm glad you still did it. However,
I love you're helping agents do it.
Would it have been more simple for them had they started a little bit earlier and could plan it, because the date and the time are time consuming. And then the next thing we ran into while we finally got all that together was hold harmless. So now they say, yes, you can do it here. We want to hold harmless. Mm-hmm. So the hold harmless, I actually found myself, took it back to the church and said, will this work? And filled in everything with the dates and the people, and will this work? So
this is for insurance, and this is a legal document, right?
Yes. So everybody, when two things, they register when they get there as a guest, but they also sign the hold harmless. And they approved the hold harmless, which again, we use this year. Now that I have it, why not use the same one? Mm-hmm. And this church did not ask for it, but I really suggest it because it's the type of society we kind of are in that you might want to protect yourself. So we used it again, and all I did was change the names to protect the innocent,
Yeah. By the way, I love that you almost put on like an advisor's hat for a minute, and were able to do something above and beyond what they had thought of. I just think that's smart. I think that's smart to demonstrate to people like, I go above and beyond, and I think about things that you may not have thought about.
Yeah. Not only protected herself, but protected the church.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that would make a great download. Are you willing to share a document like that? Okay.
Yes, I will.
And then, so you date, time, and you, like I said, you had to find the right person. You had to figure out a date and time that worked. Saturday before Easter is always a thought, right? And then you had to even like, oh my gosh, we've got to get a waiver. We've got to get a permit to actually do this event. And I mean, I can't tell you how many agents would have just given up there. But I have one really powerful component to this, is that it's amazing how you will keep going when you know you're doing something good.
It's good.
It's amazing how you're like, my intentions are good, so I'm going to keep going. I think a lot of the reason some salespeople stop is they're like, it's all about me. I really am doing this for sales, right? But if your intentions are good and it's like, I'm going to have an Easter egg party. If I get 0 referrals, the kids are going to love it. I'm going to love it. It's a service to the community, and it's all good. And then guess what? With that attitude, you get referrals. And that's like the microcosm of the entire philosophy of the generosity generation, the 7L system. So I just love your perseverance. I just love how you just kept going.
Well, it ended up replacing their planned Easter egg hunt. It was just like, hey, we'll do it together. And they provided a tent shelter, and they provided bottles of water. Because I mean, Florida, April, you're going to have bottles of water. So if they're not providing it, you got to provide that. That's the type of thing you need. But they provided
the ground. I mean, the most important thing was the venue, right? They had a lot, and you didn't have a lot in your community. They had the place
and a place to park. I mean, that's a big deal. So they ended up after we got everything together, we also got lucky for the weather. That's another important criteria. Yeah. We got lucky for that, but it was beautiful, worked out great. At that time I hired an Easter bunny, a photographer, and a face painter, balloon twister. And I was just telling Chris a while ago that what my thoughts are on that now. I learned something this year, I have to admit it. This church said, what about that Easter bunny thing? Why is it such a hassle? I said, well, first of all, by the time we had the date, the Easter bunny's telling me $300 for an hour and a half, then it's going to be this much per half hour. Yeah. And I said, I'm good. Are we good with the date? I just want to make sure I can go ahead and hire these people. And they said, why don't you just buy an Easter bunny costume? I'm like, wow, why don't I?
Yeah, I had never thought of that one. Yeah.
So, but I really believe though that one thing that I've seen is I didn't buy. They were actually cautious. This church was actually cautious with my money. They were so nice. They said, you're spending enough. Here's a little one on Amazon. And I looked at it and I thought it looked like a one night thing. Like you're going to wear it at a Halloween party. And I thought, I can't go there. And then I also don't believe that you should get scary Easter bunny. There's a lot of scary Easter bunnies out there.
Are you kidding? It's the creepiest one out there. They're the creepiest.
Isn't he cute?
That's the cute one. That's the cute.
I mean, the smile and the eyes are everything. I've seen them out there where it's like the eyes are like this.
Evil,
and the tooth is like.
So
it's like a rodent.
What I would say is go as low price as you want to, but get a cute face. I mean, these are little kids,
Don't scare the kids, people. Don't scare the kids.
Anyway, we bought them. Yeah. They said they would this year have some volunteers, and that one of them would wear the costume. So that was another great thing for me. It wasn't really like I spent less money, because it just allowed me to use the same money and do other things, so we still did the money that we had planned and went ahead with the whole event. But
what was the budget?
So I try to stay under 500. So I like to stay under 500. It was actually a little bit over 400 this year. And
for the whole party? For the whole Easter egg hunt?
Mm-hmm, for everything.
Wow.
So, but starting in January, one of the things you can do is you can get the things that you're buying from somewhere like Oriental Trading. I hate to give a plug, but their prices are really good then, free shipping. Yeah. And you could order all these things ahead of time. And so if you start early, you order everything ahead of time and you get some discount deals. Also, if you're going to go buy something, the moment Sam's Club and Costco had their giant Easter baskets out there, that's when I went and bought them. Because so here we are with Easter baskets
$400
waiting for the prices.
So did you have sponsors? Did you have other people offsetting?
I did not have sponsors. I moved in December. I don't know the vendors here. I'm just meeting them. So it's not a vendor that I felt, and I really don't have a problem. You know that, Michael. I don't really have a problem with doing the right thing, knowing it's still the right thing. And what was my reward? As a matter of fact, one of the people came up to me after we were almost finished, and she said, was it worth it? And I said, was what worth it? And she said, was the money you spent, because I know you spent a lot, worth it? And I said, do you see these people? Do you see these smiles? Yeah. The kids were all smiling. The families were all smiling. It was way worth it. I ended up, the one thing I'm still thinking I need a photographer, because this year they had their church photographer, and he was more of a click. Yeah. And I still took out my phone and I took over 100 photos as I walked around talking with people. So I think you need to, if you're going to be a host, you need to do that. You need to be the host.
All right. So quickly is you don't need to do that. You need to have someone do that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So they had their people, but that didn't work for me.
So let's go. How many of these have you done?
4.
Okay. So let's go through, Chris, if you're all right with this, let's go through chronologically. Like, how did it go first year? What did you learn? How did it go the second year? What did you do better? How did you do third year? What did you do better? And then you did it in a new market in the fourth year. And then we'll talk about like, what you learned and what you would do better with that event. Does that sound good?
Yeah, basically the first year what I learned was I didn't have enough help, meaning people that volunteered to help me. I paid the other people, but I needed my friends, like vendors, I needed help. And I had a lot of people there. I think that one had about 75. And
your first Easter egg hunt, you had 75.
It was a mob scene. It was a mob thing because I thought, let's make it like a carnival.
Yeah.
And let's have a table set up so they can turn in their tickets, they get out their eggs. And I had all kinds of prizes that they could do. Probably a bad idea to do it that way.
What was a bad idea? What was a bad idea?
To do the little carnival thing, because you got to have a lot more help than I had. I had like 5 people, not near enough.
Yeah.
And I was only doing that part. There were people like the photographer and all those other people, they were paid people doing their own thing. And the Easter Bunny was paid.
I was going to say, did you have Easter Bunny at the first one?
Yes. Yeah.
And were they taking pictures with it?
Do what?
Were they taking pictures with it?
Yes. They love to take the photos with it.
Were they standard photogenic pictures or were they more random shots?
Or cameo kind of things.
Cameo, okay. All right. So you had 75 people, that like 30 families, would you say?
Well, here's the interesting thing, and I think this is real important for people to realize. So you want to be different than other people. These people bring grandparents, the children, the parents, the grandparents, the aunt and uncles. And if the parents can't come, the other people bring them. So you're actually meeting the family, not a person. But from that, what I've really learned is as you go forward, like you just said, you take your mistakes, have more people, hire the people still. I still believe that, hire the people. Maybe if you're not in Florida, you don't have to do it. We didn't want to stuff the eggs because of the temperature and because bugs. So we didn't want to stuff the eggs, and that's why we did the carnival table, which was really cool, but have 10 people if you're going to do that. Have 10 people working that table, because it was, believe it or not, we put hundreds of eggs out, divided by age groups, which is another thing, 1 to 3, 4 to 6.
What went in the eggs? If the candy doesn't go in the eggs.
That was our volunteers had them.
The coupon? The little ticket?
Coupon.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's a Florida.
I love that idea, but
Texas issue.
Yeah, and you got to buy those things ahead of time, because some of the gifts would have cost twice as much had I waited to buy them at last minute. So I got them like half price deals.
That's awesome.
Let's get ready for referrals. In the red corner, we have the average agent working by advertising, learning on the fly, no systems, no profit, and no clients. And in the blue corner, we have what could be you, the profitable agent working by referral, loving life and loving their clients. Take your business to the next level and go to www.callwithcoach.com and set up your free referral coaching session. Go now, change your business forever. www.callwithcoach.com.
So how many referrals did you get at the first event?
So that one, I probably only had like 2 from that one.
Yeah.
Because it was more me learning as well.
Yep.
But guess what I did get? People knew who I was.
Yeah.
A lot of people that did not know me then did know me.
They knew your heart too, right? They knew your heart was that, and that's the thing, right? I mean, how many people who are listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube are thinking to themselves, like, if people would just meet me and knew me, they would use my services and they would refer my services, right? And the thing is, it's everybody. If your heart's in a good place, all they've got to do is meet you and learn about the real you to use your services and do business with you. And that's what the events do, right? The events are very attractive, guards down. They get a chance to see the real, authentic, genuine you. And guess what? That makes you instantly more referable for the future.
Well, the other thing that happened, and this kind of plays into what you just said, is how many people came up to me and said, who's paying for this? Is this free? This is free? I mean, so many people said this is free and I kept saying, yes, this is free. They kept going, but there's prizes. And the other thing that I do, and this is an optional thing, when people don't all get there at the same time. So I go by either Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts, and I'll buy like 4 or 5 dozen donuts.
Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
You go by Krispy Kreme.
Everybody prefers them.
My client would love it if you said.
Well, as they're registering, right by the registration table is the water and the donuts. So that way they got something. The little kids have something. There's something going on before the hunt starts, because the hunt starts pretty close to on time. You don't want it to be. But what I was going to tell you about that is it ends in minutes. Yeah. I mean, I never could believe how fast. Yeah, they will. Every age group was running back.
You make them wait. Do you make them wait until like 11:55 and the event's over at noon? Because that's what I would do. Like we're not. I mean, all this other stuff you got to do, and then it's like 11:45. Like whoosh.
They ran because the table was pretty cool setup, so they ran to the tables. How's this work? But every age group finished at the same time. I did not expect every age group to finish at the same time. So there's a lesson. Yeah. They will finish pretty much the same time because they're going to be hit harder and easier based on the ages. So that's what's going to happen.
Imagine what you can do with an Easter egg hunt as far as when you're not stuffing them with candy. Like you could literally have like a golden egg that it is worth more, right? I mean, it's just like you could do. I mean, like it's like the Chinese fortune cookie. Nobody knows what you're getting until you get it. I mean, you can do so much with that with your door prizes. You can do that with a ton of different things, right?
Well, this year we did change it, and I actually thought this was a lot easier. I don't know, the kids might like the carnival better if you got the people though, but is from those big baskets that I bought, each age group had a golden egg. So the basket winners were the golden egg. So we had 3 age groups, the 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 and up. Those kids all each had a basket, and they got the basket from the golden egg. Inside this year, because it wasn't quite as hot, there was prizes inside the eggs as they collected them.
Yeah, I love it.
There were things inside there, candy, money, all kinds of stuff was in there, little bracelets, all kinds of things were in there. But the big prizes were, of course, everybody wanted the golden egg. So, but that went well. The church did make sandwiches this year.
So this is this year?
Mm-hmm. This year the church made sandwiches. And but the only thing I think that I would do differently is hire the photographer on this one. I mean, this one was
and a videographer awesome. Maybe, right?
This one to be in a new market. There were 50 people there. 28 were adults, the rest were children. And the reason I know that is another tidbit that you might want to know is when they register. I made a registration book. Actually, I bought a registration book for Easter that the church could keep. And I just took photos of the pages. And the pages, I told them I wanted name, address, telephone number, email address, and whoever filled that out completely, that I was going to, at that time, I said, I'm going to give a $50 gift certificate to Publix as a drawing. Whoever doesn't fill it out completely is not in the drawing. So everybody registered. So I ended up saying, would it be okay if I give you $50 instead? Because I haven't bought the gift certificate yet. So they were real happy with $50 cash. But that worked out well because I also want the church to, that's the reason I gave them the book, is I'm going to help them with power notes, the church for recruiting people into the church. And then I've already written them all a power note from my list. But I know they don't know, so I'm going to help them.
All right. So take me through this. So you had 75 at your first one in Orlando, right? How many did you have at your second one?
They were a little bit less. I think it was like 60 people. I don't have the exact details on that, but about 50 to 60 people seems to be a normal for a community area. Unless you want to go advertise it. Most of them just want a sign at an entrance. They don't really want like far out signs. Yeah. Okay. So,
and then the third event, which was your last one in Orlando.
60 people. Yeah, between 50 and 60. And that's why 50 seemed real good to be new in a market. I was happy with 50, and I was happy the ratio that we had that many children as well. And more than anything is the way they felt.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a big deal to me.
So then you're in South Carolina, right? New market. And you had about 50 people at this one, 28 adults, 22 children. And you did a little different strategy on the registration form. You didn't do a door prize entry form because maybe it's a little aggressive early in the relationship, right? So you did the sign-in book and then did a drawing for the $50, right? And as a tweak that you're going to do next year is you're going to have like a professional photographer who will take really nice photogenic pictures with the hay bales and the Easter bunny and the pageantry of Easter, right? And they can put their logo down there as a like-kind trade, right? So everybody's picture will have their logo on it, and maybe a videographer, right? And so what else are you going to change about how you do your Easter egg hunt for next year, besides the photos and the videos?
Well, I found that this year, even though the church said, well, we're going to have 7 volunteers helping you, probably shouldn't rely on that. I only had a couple people with me. I still need to plan more people with me, regardless of what they say they're going to have help, because they don't necessarily do that, so maybe have the help that you need, because hiding hundreds of Easter eggs is a lot of eggs to hide.
It is.
Wow.
That takes some time. And the other thing is that the church has already asked me to do it again next year. So, Michael, you always say, what's next? A couple of things they have already said. Can we just use the same Easter bunny costume? You can take it, but can we just go ahead and do it again next year? So they've already asked for that. And of course, the answer is yes. And the other
This is
part,
with the church?
That was a church.
Could the church be your volunteer base? I mean, churches get volunteers for everything.
They did, but then when they were late, like people were coming late, and then I needed them to be early, and then they were trying to enjoy the activities, and I want them to enjoy the activities too. Maybe I'll just have my own people, because I want them to have fun. I don't want to pull them out of the action. The other thing that happened is on Easter Sunday, I took my mother and my aunt and uncle to a different church, and the pastor of that church asked me before the sermon, he said, how's it going with real estate? He said, did you place your license here? And I said, yeah, Realty One Group. Yeah, I've already placed my license here. And that was nice of him to even ask. And he said, have you done any marketing? I said, no, I've done charity. And I've done a couple of charity things, but told him about the Easter egg hunt. And I said, I actually did think of you. And then I was told that you didn't have many children here. And I said, which means you need to recruit some people into your church. And he's in his sermon. This is amazing to me. In his sermon, he stops and he goes, people need to understand, because we had talked about this, is whether you get anything back or not, it's the right thing to do. Do it because it's the right thing to do. And he stopped in the middle of his sermon. He said, I don't know if you guys know Sharon, but Sharon just did an Easter egg hunt at another church in town. And he said, I want events like that here. And he said, I want people to do like Sharon does. I want people to do like Sharon does and do the right thing. Do what your church needs. Let's start having events here. So now my goal, on top of the Easter egg hunt for the other church, is to figure out how I can help. And I've already volunteered my son, he doesn't know it yet, to go do some labor at the church. But basically, how can you help? And you taught me that, Michael. How can you help? Ask how you can help. And so I'm trying to now come up with an event for that church that doesn't have, but I am going to talk to them about Power Notes, because they need to get younger people into their church so they have children to have an Easter egg hunt. So that's one of my goals, is to help them with understanding Power Notes and how to, because they say that we write cards. There's a difference. So we write cards. People don't come. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to work with you on that. So I am going to help both churches with Power Notes and how to help get them more members into their church. So, and that's rewarding for me as well.
So I see a summer barbecue in your future.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And it's inexpensive, and you can run it with volunteers, and barbecues and hot dogs and hamburgers and that kind of thing. You could even do potluck. And I think churches invented potluck.
Oh, they did. We had that on that Easter morning. It was potluck breakfast.
There you go. Right.
Sharon, how did your as your events went? You said the first one you did, you got 2 referrals, but you weren't as prepared. How did over the 4 you've done? How did you?
It ends up that it's hard to track unless you're smart enough to say, okay, I met this person, Michael, the Great Retrace. I met this person from this. Some of the people, when you do a neighborhood, it's harder to do because you're also marketing the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that neighborhood, though, I have more business than anybody in that neighborhood, one in Orlando area.
Right.
Because that, I think repeating doing the right thing. I didn't just do one thing. We do events and flags and, out for 4th of July, those kind of things. But the handwritten notes were probably the most powerful thing. And the events was the most people at one time. For example, getting 28, like I didn't take anybody in my database from Florida for South Carolina. To me, I didn't want that mix. It didn't make sense to me. So the 28 first people that are in my database are the Easter egg hunt.
Right.
And they all love you and they know you as a realtor. Right. So you have a very clean database and you have the mobile and you have their email and you know they're right.
Right.
So,
and it felt okay about getting it. I mean, it didn't feel like, how many times people say, I'm going to go see this many people. I'm going to make 100 phone calls and I'm going to go do this. I'm going to somehow estimate in my database. I was smiling the entire time. I mean, it is a happy thing to do. So people that are like hesitant of how to grow their database and how they're going to have, who am I going to market to? Strangers? How about we don't market to strangers and now we start marketing to people that know, like, and trust us, that have met us.
Yeah.
And I'm all into the events. The events are just amazing to me. That is the way to go. I wish I would have done what you said years ago.
So speaking of that, are you open to one tweak for next year?
Sure.
Door prize entry form and door prizes. Right. So you've got to have a form. You keep saying, I can't track the referrals. It's like, I kind of know someone who referred someone and it's very indirect, vague, and a little fuzzy. Right. If you have a form that they fill out with their name, email, mobile, and then they have an opportunity on that form to write down people they know who are going to buy, sell, and invest in real estate, then you would actually have this handful of entry forms with referrals on it, and you could say, I got 23 referrals from this party, and you would have a hierarchy of follow-up, right? You'd have
I do have one. I have one that is happening. That one of the mothers knows somebody in Florida, which is her daughter, buying a house, and she's already asked me to help with buying a house. It's going to be a referral because it's on the coast. But I don't care. We give referrals. So I'll be happy to give the referral. But they are connecting it. And they actually, the one other thing that I know is on the top of anybody that watches this mind is, but how do they have your information, right? How do they know you? Well, one thing is I'm doing a handwritten card. And by the way, my business card was not in the handwritten power note as well. My phone number was. My email was, my business card was not. But this church did something different than I've had happen before, is they said, can we have a stack of your cards? And of course I happen to have a stack of my cards, but they
so happen to have an entire box of 1,000 cards. You are a realtor.
Because what they said is, we don't care whether you want your business card in here or not. We want to share your business card with our church. Yeah. I thought that was really kind. I mean, it was like, they said, you're doing so much for us. This is the least we can do for you. Why would we not want to deal with you? And I'm thinking, you getting coached by Michael,
Yeah. It reminds me of Jim Rohn. What Jim Rohn used to say, giving starts the receiving process. We don't give to receive, but it does, but it's just the law of reciprocity.
Right.
Yeah, that happened automatically. And they actually asked for more the day. I mean, I gave them to them the Wednesday before, and then while we were there, they asked for more. So that's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. And I guess I want to emphasize the most is, the planning, but the other thing is how it's not just, you're going to feel so good about it when you're doing it, that you're not going to feel like this is work. It's not, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like play.
Yeah.
That's what we're on this tour, right? We're on this tour talking about creating a battle plan for your next year, right? And that battle plan is an event-based business plan based on love, generosity, and appreciation. And it's one of those where it's like the whole slogan of this is win the war, enjoy the battle, right? And real estate is a very tough business. You've got 20,000 competitors in any market, and second place pays really poorly, right? There is no second or show in real estate. You either win or you get nothing. And so you have to win the war. You have to win against all these different competitors, but you don't have to grind. You don't have to hustle. You don't have to kill. You don't have to crush. You can enjoy the battle. You can enjoy the battle. You can win the battle before it's even fought by having a great relationship with the person who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And the Sun Tzu, right out of The Art of War, win the battle before it's fought. And that's what building a relationship does. You want to win the war, build the best relationship. You want to beat the top agent in your area, have a better relationship with the buyer, seller, or investor than the number one agent does. And you will win that war every single time. But Sharon, that you hit it on the head is just like you're having fun doing it.
It's fun.
Are the transactions still hard work? Are there still people to deal with? Are there still things? Yes, but you can enjoy the battle. You can enjoy the lead generation. We don't call it lead generation. We call it generosity generation. And because we're going to generate generosity.
Yeah. If you think, how many people every day say, I'm hating what I do. And then you can say, not me.
Yeah.
Why don't you try this? Not me. I'm not hating what I do. And if you can do that smiling and realize that you do an event that they're happy, you're happy, and actually it is winning, but it's winning in a way that it's okay because people would rather know you. They would rather feel comfortable with you. So, but the biggest thing is planning everything in advance. Otherwise, you're going to be real stressed out over this because there's a lot of little pieces to put together. And anything I can share, I will share because it will help the next person. I'll be okay with that because starting sooner is the big deal, though.
And that's a great place to wrap because I know, Sharon, you've already said that you're willing to share some of the stuff that you use in your Easter egg hunts. If you guys want some of those resources, make sure you go to referralspodcast.com. You guys can get those resources there. And I would say this, you're in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes.
And you are a CRT.
Beautiful land, beautiful country, right down the road from Clemson, South Carolina. Beautiful lakes, rolling hills.
You're at the foothills of the mountains, so you can see mountains.
Beautiful area. Beautiful.
And I know it's not just that you have been helpful with people creating their own Easter egg hunts, but you actually teach. You're a certified referral trainer with ReferCo. So people could actually bring you in to teach some of these 7L communication strategies. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
she has one of the top 7L book clubs in America. Right. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot to even mention that. I mean, it's not even joking, right? It's one of the best in America, and you can invest in that through her, and it is phenomenal. And obviously, she walks the talk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's doing the 7L system. Yeah. And she's one of the most referred people out of Orlando, and now becoming one of the most referred people in Greenville, South Carolina.
I love it.
And I'll go back and forth to Orlando to be clear on that.
Because Jacksonville, right? I've heard that you can do
actually,
Jacksonville.
I'm really kind of focused mainly in Central Florida because where my database mainly is. Yeah. So mainly Orlando and the surrounding areas. I'm licensed in both states. So I go to my customers. Michael, you told me that as well. Expand, don't leave them.
So if people have a referral for Greenville or Orlando area, they can also reach out to you for that as well, right?
Correct.
So where do people go, Sharon? Like if people want to reach out to you for referral or want to hear more about what you do or bring you in as a CRT, how do people connect with you?
Well, if they're not going to the CRT site, through Michael, they can go to HyresHometeam.com.
HYRES,
HYRES, or they can email me, HyresHometeam@gmail.com, HYRES. My telephone number is real good, 407-222-4900.
No way. That is a good phone number.
That's a good one. Somebody asked me, how did you get that? Did you have to pay a lot for that number? I said, no, you had to carry those big phones when they first came out.
Yeah, right.
They used to be good numbers, you know?
So good.
But yeah, I'm available and I do answer people. So
awesome. Good stuff. Great episode today. I love this. So much good stuff every time. Michael, I love every time we have a guest. There's always some great gems that get dropped. So good stuff today. Michael, thank you. Sharon, thank you. Until next time, we'll catch you. See ya.
Bye.